Oh, hey, I'm live, but you know what? Hold on, I'm gonna get a little bit more lighting. So bear with me a second. This will be fun. All right. I'm back. All right, so I need a little bit more light on the subject here. All right. So today I'm going to talk about the launch of the book Tennis Strategy 101. And I figured out that I have to have my chair at an angle in order for it to look straight in the picture. How strange is that? So, Tennis Strategy 101 is live for pre order. So, the link will be in the description there as soon as I wrap this up. And today I'm going to talk about scripting once the point has began. All right, begun. Once the point's begun, because this is the difference. So this is a tennis strategy 301 thing. Because in order to get to the 4-0, 4-5, want to go from 4-0 to 4-5 and beyond. You really have to learn how to take advantage of opportunities. So let's look at the pros for a second. And what's one thing that you'll notice is at the end of a point, you'll see one of the players, get upset with himself. And you're thinking, why was that? And from watching closely, what you'll notice is that they're going to get mad at themselves if they left an opportunity on the table. I don't know how many times I've seen Federer, Nadal, Djokovic kind of go, because there was a shorter ball that they should have attacked, or there was a ball that they could have done better with, and because they didn't, then they didn't take advantage of that opportunity. And at that level, it comes down to how often, what percentage of the time do you take advantage of the offensive opportunities that come your way? Because there aren't a lot of them. All right. So anyway, we're gonna dig into that a little bit more, how to take advantage of those opportunities. Because the difference between good players and great players is that great players create more opportunities and also take advantage of them. And good players don't. They leave some on the table, and they get beaten by the great players. All right, so that can only mean one thing, that I didn't turn off that timer again. So turn that off. All right. So anyway, go to that link and check out Tennis Strategy 101. And here's the thing. In the book, it really promotes you. If you're a coach and you're wanting to have a way to teach your people fast, and so read through the book, see if you agree with it. I think the reviews show that it's definitely worthwhile, but use it as a tool. So here's the thing, read it through. You can recommend it to your people, have them read it, and then look, a lot of work is done for you with a lot of your newer players, because they can read something on their own, and then you can practice the things that they need to practice in order to execute those things. All right, which plays into the rest of the talk here, the 301 talk, because what's going to happen is, from tennis 101 to tennis 201 to tennis 301, they're going to start to see a progression. And in the first book, I give them a long view of starting to get a vision of where they're going to end up. So that's a really important thing. Begin with the end in mind. If you know how you want to play, as you reach the full flower of your abilities, then you have a better pathway in order to learn how to do those things. You know which skills you want to learn. All right. So, last video I talked about scripting your serves, right? And so you're going to serve to different places for different things. So, you can go up there, or maybe it'll be there, and so you can go there and see that video from yesterday if you want. But the scripting is really important because having a script means that you know how to make the play. So here's an example. Let's say you've made up in your mind that you want to come to the net on short balls. So you have this script. So the first thing that needs to happen is you need to recognize when a short ball's coming. And here's my experience with players who are just learning to come to the net is that there'll be a short ball and they didn't really recognize it, and so their natural inclination is to hesitate and wait and see. And so what ends up happening is they let it go and they just rally it back instead of attacking it. And this was true of me. I mean, I remember when I was first coming in and starting to come to the net more, and my coach would be like, "Hey, that was another short ball. You didn't come in." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." "Hey, there was another short ball and you didn't come in." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." So this is something as a coach, you look at them and you go, "All right, now, so here's what I want you to do." So do you see how that short ball, did you see how it originated out of the opponent's racket? So when you see the way they hit it, that's your first clue. You can't wait for it to bounce to know what's happening there. So then your script would be you're going to take the short ball, you're going to hit it to their backhand. Inside out forehand to the backhand is the best. Down the line forehand to the backhand is the second best. Cross court approach shots, not quite as effective, but you could slice a backhand cross court to the backhand. And you could you can even maybe drive, but you should probably slice a backhand approach shot down the line. But those different options that way. But you're going to do that and you're going to come in and be ready to volley that next ball. So very simple script, right? But it's all predicated on recognizing the opportunity. All right, now I have a video which is not on YouTube here. It's on CoachTube, and it's called "How to Get Your Players to the Net." So, but I'm going to break it down for you a little bit. And there's a whole thing about why don't players go to the net. I'm going to put the free video, the introductory video, in the description on YouTube here. So, but essentially what I like to do is when I'm first getting people to come to the net, and if you're a player or a coach and you want to start to script anything, all right, so this is learning to script anything, would be the first thing you want to do is you want to feed them the ball that they're supposed to recognize, right? So another example would be a lot of tennis 101 players struggle with high bouncing balls, right? So I get this all the time. People go play their match, for the first time, and then they come back for a lesson, and I'm like, okay, was there something that went well? What did you struggle with? And most of the time they come back to me and say, "Oh, I really struggle with those high balls." I'm like, okay, good. So now here's the first thing, right? Recognize when it's coming off of my racket and it's going to be high. So I'll have them predict, from there. I'm like, is it high, low, or medium, right? And then what we do is then we really practice, getting them to move back and take the ball up there. All right, but I digress. So that's another example of recognizing what the shot is. But so I'll feed them a short ball, and then they have to come in and volley, and they've seen the ball coming off my racket. They get multiple times of recognizing that, right? And then what I'll do is I'll feed them a couple of deep shots and then a short ball, because first they have to rally a couple, then they have to see that it's a short ball and come in, because that's a shift. That requires a shift in thinking. If you only do the first thing, then they don't learn to shift into moving forward aggressive mode, right? And you want to let them get comfortable. So, in the early going, like if I've got a team of players and it's the first couple of days of practice, because if you're a team coach, you want to start this process of getting them to the net pretty close to day one, because it's going to take a couple of weeks for it to really take. So day one, just do a little 10-minute thing where you feed a short ball, they come in, they knock off a volley, and they just get comfortable coming forward. That's your number one thing. Tennis strategy 101, just get comfortable coming forward to the net. Because if you're awkward about it, if you don't feel smooth, if you're not used to it, then you're not going to do it in a match if it creates a lot of anxiety for you. So you can script all you want, but if you haven't kind of practiced the skills and the mentality, then you're not going to do it. So that's huge. That's a really big part of it. And then what you can do, like say the next day, what I would do is I would, do 5 minutes of that and, just warm them up, getting them comfortable again. And then I would play a game of Rule the Court, which is, what we used to call King of the Court. I like Rule the Court because boys and girls can play it, and you don't have to say kings and queens. I just despise that. Anyway, so it just doesn't roll off the tongue very well. So what you can do is you could play 5 minutes of, okay, well, you have a passing shot artist on the other side, and then people come forward, and the first one to win 3 points becomes the new champion. Now, what is accomplished there is, especially in the teenage mind, in the kid mind, they're not thinking about the points they lost. They're only counting the points they won. So what you get is you get somebody who's won 3 points coming to the net, so they become the champion. And then you have some other people who've won a lesser amount of points, but they're winning points. And I think the best way to do it is to allow them to keep the points they have, so that eventually everybody's going to get a chance to be the champ. So then what do they get? Oh, I played a game, I became the champ for a moment by coming to the net. Confidence booster. So then the next day, then what I would do is, have them hit, feed them a deeper shot, then a shorter shot, then have them come in, and then play that little game for 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes. And then what we can do the next day is we can have them play tiebreakers. So I like them to play a tiebreaker to 7. And here's the funny thing. I like to call a 12-point tiebreaker a set tiebreaker. And I say that set tiebreakers go to 7. Set 7. Easy peasy. Match tiebreakers go to 10. I don't even talk about 12-point tiebreakers because think about it. 12-point tiebreaker goes to 7. 10-point tiebreaker goes to 10. Huh? What is that all about? All right. So set tiebreaker goes to 7. Anyway, I'm not going to repeat it. So here's the thing. They get one serve, and the net person, the returner has to come to the net behind the serve. So and I'll tell you what, the first ones are just ugly. It's just horrifically bad, right? So they're going to have them play 2 tiebreakers, and it's going to look really bad. So But what do you get? When you hit a second serve, it's not going to be a fast serve. And it has to land in front of the service line. So it's a juicy return opportunity to come into the net behind. And because, yeah, it's an automatic short ball. Think about it that way. Second serves are automatic short ball. So then they have to come in. And the rule is if they don't come in, they automatically lose the point. That's important because you kind of have to force them a little bit. Now, one time I got some pushback. I was speaking in Irvine and somebody was like, hey, you said you're an athlete-centered coach. So, why do you force kids to do things like that? I'm like, because it's for their own good. Right? Think about some time that you were out there and you got dragged to something you didn't want to go to, right? And then it turned out it was like one of the most fun things you'd ever done in your whole life, right? And then you were glad that somebody dragged you along. It's like that. So I'm the one that drags people to the net. So, I'll have them on the first day, I'll have them play like maybe 3 tiebreakers that way. And the third one will start to look okay. And then afterwards, then we'll get together and we'll say, all right, how did it feel to be the server? And that after you hit your second serve, the other person's coming in, right? So think about that for a second. What do you think they're going to say? 3, 2, 1. So what they say is, oh, it felt like a lot of pressure. I'm like, yes, very good. So now, do you want to be the one who feels the pressure or do you want to be the one who exerts the pressure? And then they have their little aha moment. So now all of a sudden, something that seemed difficult and weird and awkward, and they're like, oh, why do we have to do this? Right? Then they go, oh, now I get it. I get the reason for it. Because then they also, I call it sadistic empathy, because what you do is you put yourself in the mind of the other person that you're torturing, right? So it's not what you want to do is you want to apply the pressure. You don't want to be the victim of the pressure. Yeah, my cat's here with me right here. So hey, buddy, what's going on? So he's in my lap. He's a very malleable guy unless he starts biting me. All right. So, if you like my cat, just go ahead and put that nice cat in there. Oh, now he's biting me. It's a crazy cat. So that's an example of of starting to develop the script because it's on a contingency. So then what happens is then we go a couple days later after we'll do the tiebreaker thing for 2 or 3 days until it starts to look back better with one serve and playing to 7, right? Then what we'll do is we'll shift to 10-point tiebreakers in a couple of days, and we'll make it where they get 2 serves, but when the opponent is hitting a second serve, then the opponent has to come in. So again, there's that shift, that mental shift that has to occur where you're going from, okay, it was a first serve, so I was playing defensively, to now it's a second serve, so I'm playing offensively in my return. And we talk about this in Even Tennis 101, that you want to attack second serves. We want to have some controlled aggression. But you have to practice the mentality of that shift, because newer players don't shift so quickly from defense to offense. They tend to just stay in defensive mode. And they agree that they should go forward. But so you have to train it. You have to train this in them. So then we do that. We'll play 10-point tiebreakers of that. And then after a little bit, we'll play practice sets like that. So they'll play a whole practice set where they have to come in every second serve. Then this is when it gets interesting. It gets really awesome. and you're going to love this, is that if you then play practice sets, then all of a sudden you're going to see that your players will recognize short balls, and they will just immediately come in because they've been so well trained to do that. So these are the kinds of things that you can do when you practice. Is you can say to yourself, all right, I'm going to come in on every second serve. And then that's a great precursor for you to also recognize that any ball that lands in front of the service line is something you should be approaching on. And then with time, then you can start to approach on deeper shots. I mean, you don't want to come in on something too deep. So you start to figure out, then with my better players, then we start looking at, all right, what's the deepest ball that you can realistically come in on? Right? Because if you come in on a ball that's in the last 5 feet of the court, then that's a problem, right? So this scripting thing is really important, but the most important thing is having the practice of the thing, the training for that script. So, like, here's another one. Somebody is slicing to you, right? So what's your play? What do you want to do? You either want to slice back, or you want to lift up with some pretty massive topspin and put it in a place where they're not going to continue to be able to slice you so well. So you might want to hit a sharper angle, instead of powering it back to them. Or you can slice it back to them, and you can make it even more difficult for them to slice you back, because if they slice you, you slice them, probably their next shot is going to be a little more of a floater, and then your script is that you're going to take the next ball on the rise. That first slice usually comes as a bit of a surprise. The second slice, if you're really looking for it, because this is something that happens, is you can get into the slice, back and forth thing. But if your script is that they slice, you slice, they slice, you take the ball on the rise, now you're changing everything about the rally, and you're assuming a controlled aggression once again. So, but this is something you have to practice. So get together with a friend and go, look, you slice me, I slice you, I take the ball on the rise. And we do that 5 times. Then it's your turn. Or you come up with a pattern that you want to play for 5 shots or 10 shots. I don't know. You figure it out. What's the right amount of reps before you switch it up? And it could be that your partner wants you to hit them high balls, and then they're going to hit a high ball, and then they're going to come into the court looking for a short reply to pick off, right? So that's another interesting one. You can script this. Somebody hits you a high ball, right? You hit them a higher ball, and then you jump into the court by about 3 feet, because if they hit another high ball, you can come in and hit an overhead, right? If they just barely get the ball up into the center of the court, you can take it as a high forehand. There's lots of different contingencies that can be played off of that if you hit their high ball back higher. So all of these scripts that you're going to create play into whatever is the strategy that you have. These are the tactics, and the scripting are going to be these plays. First this, then that. And you have those well practiced, so that when the match happens, then you're doing it in a match. And the missing thing for a lot of juniors and adults is actual practice matches where you're actually practicing something. There's something on your mind in the match. There's something you want to execute. One, USTA juniors don't really practice matches enough. And USTA league teams call all the ad nauseum sets of doubles that they play with no particular thing on their mind. They call that practice. And I think that's not very smart. All right. So you've got to really go out and play some practice sets. So if you take a private lesson, you should probably also play at least one practice set that week. And then you should probably also have like 30 minutes on the ball machine. And you should probably also have a 45-minute hitting session with somebody. And then, then things are going to get really good. All right. All right. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, take your finger and go Social Digital Currency, press like, subscribe, share with people. Be generous. Go out and tip everybody. When you go to the coffee shop and go to the restaurant, do some good tipping. And then check out that book. Pre-order your Tennis Strategy 101 book. And that's going to go live on the 26th. I'm already, pretty deeply into 201 and 301. So I think I'm going to meet my deadlines there. And I will leave you with this. Tennis Strategy 101 is going to go live on the 26th. And so if you share it with your people, you're gonna save a lot of time and energy for yourself, and they will love you for it. So the final thing is, I really do appreciate all the great reviews. Every review matters. So it doesn't matter that somebody famous wrote a review, because I want your review too. Every review matters, every single one, especially when they go on Amazon, because that's going to help the book go out to more people, and then that's going to help grow the game, and everything's better, and then we all make money. All right. Thank you, and have a great day.